How's it going? So today I'm going to be reviewing this WM-600. I call it the Psychic Walkman. It's got a crazy feature that I've never seen anywhere else and kind of freaked me out when I first saw it. So if any of that interests you, just stick around and you'll see the rest of it. Thank you for watching. So here's the WM-600. This is a very, very nice machine. It was released around 1990 to 1991-ish, somewhere around there. But it's premium, very premium. It's all metal, super solid in the hand. It's very, very nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through just where everything's at and how you use this machine. So you've got the tape transport controls just in this little circular pattern here. It's actually really nice, really ergonomic. It fits well, and yeah, I like it. It makes for a super unique design too. Then up at the top, you've got two side indicator lamps, and those play into the special feature that I'll get into later on. You've also got a noise reduction. You've got the mode switch that lets you loop it or not loop it. Then you've got the latch to open up the machine right there, and it also doubles as a hold switch. Super nice, super satisfying to use too. Then on this side, you've got just the two prongs for the AA battery adapter and then the slot for the gum stick. And then on the top, you've got a headphone jack, which doubles as a remote port as well. And then the yellow switch here is going to be your bass boost, and it goes by the name of EXDBB. I believe that means dynamic bass boost, and I think it also was a Japan exclusive, but I don't know, I could be wrong on that. Then you also have a tape type selector, which lets you play metal tape or normal tape. And you've also got the volume wheel, and that's pretty much it. Super simple unit and just all around a great machine. So I'm going to show you that special feature that makes this thing the Psychic Walkman. So when I first got this player, the first thing I did, of course, just took a tape, threw it in the player, hit play, and there you go, it's playing side A, and it's perfectly normal. That's as I expected it. The weirdness started though when it came time to flip the tape. I'm used to flipping the tape. I usually don't rely on the auto reverse, but I flipped the tape, hit play, side B. So that was extremely confusing to me. It turns out this player knows what side of the tape it's playing, regardless of how you put it in the machine. So these side indicator lamps are not indicating what state the mechanism is in, they're indicating what state the tape is in. It's very different from how other machines work, and I'd like to give you a little bit of time to figure out how do you think they did that, because it was extremely confusing for me and I was wrapping my mind around it for weeks. Alright, so I gave you 3 seconds to figure it out. I had multiple weeks to figure it out and couldn't do it, so don't feel bad if you didn't figure it out. But there's a tiny little dimple switch right below the playhead, and this dimple switch detects the screw hole on the cassette. And apparently this was not standard, but just about all the manufacturers did the exact same thing. So almost any tape you put in this machine works with the system. And there's a really, really nice article online that I'll link in the description, and it has to do with the inventor who invented this entire system. He's going over pretty much his process, how he thought of it, and getting with the boss and the manufacturers to get it all worked out. It's super, super interesting, and it's just right from the guy who invented it in the first place. So if you're at all interested in that, I highly recommend you go and check it out. So aside from that, you also have a remote switch in the tape well, and I just leave this on off because I don't have the remote. Now with this player, the only other thing I got with it is this AA battery adapter. Now this one is different from other devices, so I believe you have to have this exact one to use with this 600. And aside from that, I'm honestly not sure what other accessories this would have came with. Now obviously this did come with a remote, and I'm gonna guess it's one of those remotes with the proprietary plug on it. I could be wrong though, because my 677 remotes will accept just about any 3.5mm headphone jack, so maybe I'm wrong, but definitely came with a remote, and I'm gonna guess it also came with some sort of carrying case thing, but yeah, I don't have those. I just got the player and the battery adapter. So yeah, aside from that, that's pretty much the device. It's super, super nice, and if you ever get the chance to get one, I highly recommend it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the repair work that I had to do and just kind of walk you through some of the basics, because there's not too much information out there online for it, But luckily, this mechanism is extremely simple to work with, and they've designed it to be pretty repairable. So let's go ahead and get into that, and hopefully this is helpful to you at all if you have one. Alright, so to start this repair process, you're going to need a couple tools and a couple different things. So I like to have a little mat. This is just a basic Alvin mat. You can find them at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any sort of craft store. And then I also like to have a microfiber cloth laid out, because if you don't have one, there's a chance you could always screw up the machine and scratch it up and scuff it. But you're also going to need, of course, the player. And then you're going to need a screwdriver set that's going to fit these Phillips head screws. Now, this screwdriver set that I have, I believe, is for eyeglasses. It comes with a whole bunch of different bits, and it is perfect. So if you can get your hands on an eyeglass screwdriver set, you're in good shape. You're also going to need a pair of tweezers, preferably ones that are a little bit bent. It makes it easier to grab things and move things around. And this is also optional, but you're going to need some sort of little prier or spudger, something like that. This little metal tool works perfectly. And again, another optional thing is a case with different slotted holes in it, and you could keep different screw types in there. Alright, so I'm going to find the bit from this screwdriver set that matches these screws. Yep. So first, you pretty much just want to start by getting the screws off the front cover. There's going to be 2 of them on the side here, then there's going to be 2 of them on this side, and that's it. Super easy. So let me just get these screws out real quick. And then once this is done, you just want to grab this side right here, hold the battery door compartment, and just pull up. And that's it. You got the inside of the machine right there, and that's your belt path. And yeah, pretty much it. So to swap the belt, you pretty much just want to take the old belt off, put the new one in, and you're good to go. So I'm going to show you how to get the PCB out of here in case you needed to access that motor. There's going to be 2 little screws on the inside of the door. They're all on the right side, and those are the screws that hold the motor in place. Alright, so with those motor screws removed, there's going to be 3 screws on the PCB that you have to remove as well. One of them can be found underneath the ribbon cable here that goes to the playhead. Another one can be found next to the indicator lamps, and then the other one's going to be over by the gum stick port. If I wasn't left-handed, it would make this recording process much easier. It's going to be a little tab here that's going to be stuck in a little slot. Just want to push that up and try to get that out. And just lift up a little bit more. Pull on the top a little bit. Just do a little bit of moving around to get this thing deseated. And there you go. Just kind of falls down. Now, if you did not unscrew the motor, it's not going to be moving this easily. You have to unscrew the motor to get this PCB out. Also, I must say too, the way that they've laid out all these components and everything is extremely efficient, and honestly, it's not that hard to figure out what goes where. So yeah, now that I've kind of shown you how to take this thing apart, I'm just going to go ahead and put it back together. Now, before I seat the PCB in there, I'm going to open the front door and make sure that the motor screws are lining up. But you'll be able to see the screws of the motor, and they should line up with the screw holes that we originally took out. Alright, the motor is seated, so I'm just going to hold the motor in place as I flip it over. And yeah, I'm going to start by getting this tab here seated into place. And then I'm going to look at all of the switches that are around this PCB here, and I'm going to make sure that all of them are lined up. Because if you push this PCB down and the switches are not lined up, you're just going to snap off the top of the switch, and the only way to fix that really is just by desoldering the switch and putting a new one in. And you also want to make sure that hold is turned on so that that hold switch does not get snapped off as well. And yeah, once you're done with that, you just kind of want to push everything into place. Should hear a couple clicks and you'll know when it's seated properly. Alright, the PCB seems to be seated properly, and as you can tell, my Scotch tape here is not holding up too well, so I'm going to replace that with some Kapton tape or some electrical tape. I'll try and we'll see which one works. I've got a little segment here cut. I'm just going to take tweezers, and I'm just going to pretty much replace the Scotch tape with it. Okay, yeah, definitely if you're going to replace this tape, or if you ever need to use anything like that in the future, go with electrical tape. Scotch tape is not going to be a permanent solution. All right, so now that that's done, in the process of me removing the motor, the belt did come off, so I'm gonna show you how to put that belt back on. Basically, you wanna start by getting the belt over the motor, and you just bring it around. Then you just bring it over onto the main drive wheel there. Do a little bit of spinning around, and there you go. Okay, so let's get the motor screws back in, and this would be considerably easier if I took the front cover off, but I didn't, so oh well. Alright, the motor screws are back in place. I'm gonna go ahead and close the door to keep that hinge in place. You can tell you've got the hinge right if it sticks out from that little tab there. Alright, let's get the PCB screws back in place. Oh, and as you can see, I put the electrical tape over the screw holes. So brilliant work, brilliant work. Yeah, so I guess if you're gonna do this, just keep that in mind, because I didn't. Yeah, now I'm really wishing I wasn't left-handed, because makes recording this a little bit difficult. I'm sure my hand is getting in the way so many times. Eventually, as I get more skilled with recording these videos, I'm gonna try to get an overhead camera and change some of the way I record this so that it's easier for you guys to follow along. Alright, up next is just getting the front cover back in place. So you just want to line up the front cover with the headphone port and then just bring it down. It's that simple, and it's pretty much impossible to mess up. Now these screws on the right side of the player are going to be different sizes, so I will show you which ones go where. Alright, so there's two screws that go on this edge here. You want to take the longer screw and put it on the right. The shorter screw goes on the left. And once I have this hinge screw in, I like to open the door just to see if it's all seated properly, and yep, seated just right. And there you go. Now let's go ahead and do some sort of sound test and see how this thing sounds. Alright, well that does it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I really like this machine, and I really recommend you get it if you have a chance to get it. It doesn't sound perfect, and honestly, due to its age, there's really not much you can do about that. A lot of the plastic parts are going to shrink, but you're not listening to tapes because it sounds like your phone. You're listening to it because it sounds real and different. So I really like it. It sounds pleasing to my ears, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I hope this video is even some use to you if you buy one. If you want to see any more videos, just stick around. I'll keep posting. I think the next one might be, I don't know, maybe a beginner's guide to mixtapes or something like that. Some sort of tutorial for people who are new to tapes. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, just stick around. Thank you.